온라인 빼고 할까요? 네네. 네네. 네, 잠시 안내 말씀드리겠습니다.
Let us make the housekeeping announcement. From 4 p.m. Korean Standard Time, we are going to have the opening ceremony of the 9th International Electric Vehicle Expo. For those who are at the venue, please use the interpretation device.
Ceremony of the 9th International Electric Vehicle Expo. Those of you who are still standing or outside the hall, please proceed to the hall and take your seats so that we can begin the opening ceremony. And also, simultaneous translation will be provided throughout the opening ceremony. If you need a service, please wear receiver. Channel 1 is Korean, Channel 2 is English. 원활한 개막식 진행을 위해서 소지하고
For the seamless proceeding of the event, please make sure to turn off your mobile phone
or switch to the vibration mode. Thank you. 네, 오늘 정말 많은 분들께서 현장에 참석해 주셨는데요.
We are joined with a lot of guests. Please make sure to be seated to fill up all the rows except the first 4 rows.
Standing, please take your seats so that we can begin the opening ceremony. 네, 여러분 안녕하십니까? 제구의 국제전기자
Good afternoon. My name is Im Jong-young, Master of Ceremony today at the 9th International Electric Vehicle Expo. Jeju goes beyond the Korean territory. It now has become a platform for the global EV industry. Obviously, it's a leading city of electric vehicle. Once again, please welcome all the guests, and it is my honor to be here as a Master of Ceremony. For the last 2 years, we've been through much but have survived. As a result of successfully responding to the global pandemic crisis, we're now around the corner to go back to the normal. It's been a while since I welcome offline guests. We're now facing each other now. Despite the pandemic, we became stronger thanks to the power of the recovery and solidarity. That's why there have been a lot of attention to this expo that will be held for 4 days. In particular, we are celebrating the 10th anniversary of a carbon-free island, Jeju 2030. Such a bold movement wouldn't be possible without the collaboration between Jeju province, the central government, and private sectors. At today's opening, we have a great number of guests on site and real-time online viewers. You must be busy, but I would like to appreciate all of you as the international EV family for your presence to commemorate this year's event. This year's topic is called E-Mobility's Opportunities for New Market. Once again, I'd like to welcome all of you to the 9th International Electric Vehicle Expo. At this year's Expo, we are joined by the global opinion leaders and experts to discuss the commercialization of EV, which already started, and its vision. Also, no need to mention how important to respond to climate change and why we need energy transition. We will also touch upon technological advancement. In particular, the fast-growing eco-friendly vehicle market needs business invigoration measures. Now, I would like to invite all the prominent VIPs to open the 9th International Electric Vehicle Expo. We have some online viewers, and however, let's give them a big round of applause whenever I call out some names. First of all, Co-Chair and President Kim Dae-hwan of the 9th International Electric Vehicle Expo and the Global EV Association Network. Honorable Chair of the Expo, Koo Man-seop, Acting Governor of Jeju Special Self-Governing Province. Give him a big hand, please. Chairman Lee Ha-kyung of Trade, Industry, Energy, SMEs, and Startups Committee. Chairman Char Namsu of General Jeju Special Self-Governing Province Council. Wi Song-gon, Member of National Assembly. Vice Chairman Chun Young-hyun of Samsung SDI. Senior Vice President Jang Nae-hyuk of Samsung SDI.
Gabriella Edelhi from IEC, 국제전기기술위원회 국장님. 네.
She was here, but she'll be back soon. Vice Governor Lee Han-gyu for Administration, Gyeonggi Provincial Government. President Kang Tae-son of BYN Black Yak. Chairman Kim Dong-won, the Associations of Presidents of National Universities at the Strategic Base Cities, and he's also the president of Jeongbuk University. Admiral An Sang-min, commander of a Maritime Task Flotilla 7. General Park Song-sun, commander of the 9th Marine Brigade. We also have some online guests. However, I can't explain how much you can feel all the passions on site. And please accept my apology that I can't introduce each and every VIP due to the time constraint. First, we would like to hear the opening remarks from Chairman Kim Dae-hwan of the International Electric Vehicle Expo. Let's give him a big round of applause. Thank you. Before I begin, I would like to recognize Co-Chair Moon Guk-hyun and Chairman Char from Korea Green Foundation. And we also have Jacobo Samashi from New York University and Laboratoire Lamed. And Edmund Arga, the president of the ASEAN Electric Vehicle Association. I want to give a big round of applause to these gentlemen, especially co-chair Moon Guk-hyun. Thank you. It wouldn't be possible with all your support and passion. And once again, I would like to appreciate all the Global EV family members, distinguished guests. It is my honor to welcome you all. Electric vehicles can be sometimes powered by wind, and Jeju is the hub. Welcome you all. An eco-friendly transportation is now a norm, such a series of EV. It has been already the 9th time of the Expo. I'm so grateful to meet you all. We thought this pandemic was such a temporary thing that would end soon. However, it has been 2 years since the outbreak. It is still threatening our daily lives, but solidarity and democratic measures of disinfection guided us towards the end of a tunnel called COVID-19. That's why how important it is to have all these valuable relations with all of you. The Expo has acting Governor Koo Man-seop of Jeju Special Self-Governing Province as honorary chairman of the Expo. On top of him, we have a lot of distinguished guests who are here with us today. I'm truly touched for your presence. Above all, the Global EV Association Network is giving the Jean Award to Vice Chairman Chun Young-hyun of Samsung SDI. Based on Super Gap, he's leading Samsung SDI as a global company. Mid-sized battery development, Samsung SDI's global vision, and the recent market trend will be presented by Nathan Chang, Executive Vice President of Samsung SDI. In particular, please allow me to thank someone who traveled this far from Switzerland for the special presentation, Director Gabriela Erlihi of International Electrotechnical Commission. I sincerely thank you. We also have guests from the National Assembly despite all busy schedules, including Chairman Lee Ha-kyung of Industry, Trade, Energy, SMEs, and Startups is here with us. Thank you, Acting Chairman Lee Sung-gon of Agriculture, Food, Rural Affairs, Oceans, and Fisheries Committee. It was unfortunate that we could have him today, but last year and this year, we have honored to hear from former Secretary General Ban Ki-moon of the United Nations via video. I appreciate Mr. Secretary General. I want to take this opportunity to thank the co-chair Moon Guk-hyun of the Expo, Chairman Choi of Korea Green Foundation, Vice President of Yakobo Shamash of New York State University, Detroit Electric's President Albert Ram, also Chairman Edmund Arga. I thank you all, distinguished guests. The 9th Expo this year has furthermore special, as yesterday, on May 2nd, we celebrated the 10th anniversary of a carbon-free island 2030, Jeju. It has been a decade since we initiated this wonderful program. You can't think of this expo without CFI 2030. Starting in 2009, those who love Kapado Island and International Green Island Forum, Jeju Smart Grid Company Associations, and Smart Grid Research Center of Jeju Universities put all their effort to bear this wonderful initiative. Such a private network paid attention to a green island called Kapado. By utilizing wind and solar energy, they concluded in a consensus to establish an energy-independent island based on renewable energy sources. As a part of a resort-type MICE project, the International Electric Vehicle Expo was chosen. That was the beginning of the historic inaugural event of the Expo in 2014. They all replaced the gasoline vehicles on the island into the electric vehicle. Carbon-free island is the true goal of a Kapado. Kapado is now a green island loved by all the global citizens. Such a small island in Korea is in everyone's thought, and they gain the affection from the global citizens. When we first started this expo, we didn't have enough facilities to have a wonderful expo. However, it has been 10 years since we first started this electric vehicle expo. In 2022, we have participants of 300 companies and 200,000 viewers from 50 countries. And this is also the venue for B2B business opportunities. And this has become a genuine business platform for electric vehicles. The International Electric Vehicle Expo is the only global expo exclusively for electric vehicle, and it pursues the e-mobility's Davos Forum. As time goes by, it scales with in-depth knowledge. This year, we are going to have a forum between Korea and ASEAN countries to expand the cooperation in the electric vehicle business. ASEAN electric vehicle industries have been creating a new growth engine, and this will be the great opportunity to announce such initiative. We also have a Korea-China EV forum to commemorate the 30th anniversary of the diplomatic tie of Korea and China. We will have an in-depth discussion there. We have been holding this business forum with the Silicon Valley partners, where global ventures have been born. On top of that, we work on our collaboration with the EU to talk about eco-friendly vehicles and global warming and energy transition. This year, we first started Korea-EU EV Leaders Roundtable to reaffirm our expo's role. These international forums are co-hosted and organized with the Global EV Association Network. And it truly illustrates our expo is a Davos forum in electric vehicle. This morning, we started our General Assembly of with Gene Family, and we had a forum. And also, we've just welcomed the vehicle for the event called the Second Peace Road EV Journey of the Korean Peninsula. It started from where the nation's division started, called Imjingak, passing by Gangwon province, and it reached the most south island called Marado. And this journey was hosted by Jean, along with a lot of organizations as organizers and sponsors. The slogan was from Halla to Baekdu, from Baekdu to Halla. This was the second of its event since last year. And we hope to see this event as the stepping stone to finally realize the very first Pyongyang International EV Expo. And we hope to see a parade of the electric vehicle to connect South and North Korea. And this is our grand dream to host another international EV Expo in Pyongyang. We are always ready for that. In particular, Jean is working on participating in B20 Summit, which is the economic meeting of a G20 in early November in Bali, Indonesia. Indonesia has become the center for the new southern policies, where we can create a future-oriented network, and we are preparing various session programs for the opportunity. Distinguished guests of global EV families, electric vehicle has already become a symbol of eco-friendly vehicles, and its commercialization has settled. It was all possible thanks to all the global families and the countries who set up the agenda with climate change and carbon neutrality. At the center, Jean has provided e-mobility business opportunities for SMEs and major auto industry players. B2B Expo or Business Expo are another name for our expo. In this time of crisis, our expo will bring back the inclusive transition and innovation. Let us revive the values of a mutual existence and co-prosperity. We are going to take the lead to reaffirm the solidarity with all the family members. Once again, I would like to express my gratitude for all the organizations, professional automakers of electric vehicles who travel all the way to Jeju to participate in the 9th International EV Expo. We are growing as the Davos Forum of e-mobility, and thanks to all your affection, passion, and support. Thank you very much.
네, 한라에서 백도까지.
Thank you, Chairman Kim. You mentioned the Halla to Baekdu One Belt and the Davos Forum of E-Mobility. Thank you very much for your kind words. Next, the honorary chairman of the event, Acting Governor Guman Sub of the Jeju Special Self-Governing Province, will deliver his welcoming speech. Please welcome him with a big round of applause. Distinguished guests, good afternoon. I am Guman Sub, Acting Governor of Jeju Special Self-Governing Province. I want to welcome you all to Jeju, Korea's carbon-neutral frontier and the center of electric vehicles in Korea. I also want to congratulate the opening of the Best EV Convention, the 9th International Electric Vehicle Exposition. Thank you for all the passion and effort of all the members of the organizing committee. I also want to thank everyone for your interest and support for the Expo. Again, I want to express my special gratitude. The climate crisis is the warning sign the Earth is sending to mankind. To respond to the climate crisis, carbon neutrality has become a global paradigm. An important element of carbon-neutral practice, including EVs and hydrogen cars, is the green mobility, and now it is not a distant future but our daily life. The world automobile market is rapidly being reorganized into green vehicles. A world-class energy research institute, Bloomberg New Energy Finance, says that one EV is sold every 3 seconds. And as a result, the number of EVs around the world will be 20 million units by June and is expected to increase to 26 million by the end of this year. In 2016, when the number was EVs globally was only 1 million, today we are witnessing an exponential growth. The Bloomberg New Energy Finance also mentioned the growth speed of EVs in Korea and made a positive comment. In fact, in Korea, the number of EVs exceeded 100,000, and this year it is expected to go over 200,000. Jeju already started from 10 years ago to prepare for the future step by step. Transitioning all vehicles into EVs was a bold objective by Jeju, and for that, we were first in the country to focus our capabilities on the promotion of EVs. As a result, the EVs are the number one in Korea in Jeju, and given this speed, we expect we will also be the first to break through the double-digit share. Now Jeju is preparing for a more advanced future and a future of coexistence. We are taking the EV paradigm beyond the stage of dissemination with industrialization and development of related industries and is further expanding. Currently in Jeju, conversion of promising industries to new growth engines in the region and preemptive preparations for declining industries are being done together. We are also doing experiments in Jeju for electric, hydrogen mobility, application of used batteries, and so on, for such new industry fields to lead the global market in the future with strategical supports. For used batteries, the EV Battery Industrialization Center is producing and distributing a variety of demonstration products. And for the expansion of related new industries, we are also taking the lead in preparing standards for testing and certification. With the existing automobile industry, the internal combustion vehicle sector, a just and fair transition must go hand in hand. The Jeju EV distribution policy this year was selected by the Ministry of Employment and Labor as a task for the employment assessment, so an analysis will be done for job impacts and mutually beneficial transition plans are expected to be arranged. The International EV Expo is a venue for exchanging new EV technologies, seeking solution to future challenges and a place for solidarity. We want to gather all your wisdom so that green mobility can usher into a new future. Jeju in the past was facing many uncertainties, but the Carbon-Free Island 2030 project has been steadily pushed forward. In the future, as a carbon-neutral frontier, we will actively respond to the climate crisis, and all the Jeju experience and know-how will be continuously shared with the world. Jeju is a place where people and nature can coexist, and for us to become a leading model for global carbon neutrality, I hope you will be always with us. Once again, congratulations on the opening of the 9th IEVE, and I wish everyone health and happiness. Thank you very much.
네, 사람과 자연
He wishes the Jeju where humans and carbon-free industries coexist. Thank you very much. And now I would like to invite Chairman Lee Ha-kyung of Trade Industry Resources SMEs and Startups Committee. Let's give him a big round of applause.
Good afternoon. I am Lee Ha-kyung, Chairman of the Trade Industry, Energy, SMEs and Startups Committee of the National Assembly. My deepest congratulations on the opening of the 9th International Electric Vehicle Expo hosted by the Global EV Association Network. I want to again thank President Kim Dae-hwan and all the staff for your dedication and hard efforts. Now, the COVID-19 is dying down, and I want to also welcome all the professionals for coming all the way to Jeju. Thank you very much. So, the climate crisis and ecological imbalance has become such global issues. So the significance of this expo held in Jeju, the carbon-free island, is more meaningful than ever. Climate change is now moving from a slightly hotter summer and a little colder winter to extreme events such as heat waves, floods, droughts, and large fires. The IPCC, Intergovernmental Consultative Body on Climate Change, also predicted that food shortages and water shortages would worsen in the future due to ecosystem disturbance and global warming. In a global era where people all over the world share economic and environmental assets, environmental issues are a common task of mankind that cannot be postponed any longer. Thanks to the efforts of all the experts here with us today, we hope that we will be able to go beyond the realization of carbon neutral goal, step forward towards the construction of an eco-friendly society. In particular, the EV industry is now occupying 8.9% of the total automobile market and is also showing a triple growth in the past 3 years, positioning itself as a promising international industry. So as it is an industry that is already doing well and needs to be better for the environment, more incentives and support will be needed further. The government and the National Assembly will also aim at the expansion of the charging infrastructure and stabilization of the component supply chain with meaningful discourses to vitalize the industry. Myself being the chairman of the Trade, Industry, Energy, SMEs and Startups Committee, I will also do my best to actively listen to the opinions of domestic and foreign companies and the international community to provide legal and institutional support for the sustainable growth of the industry. I hope that the conferences and forums held today will be an opportunity for exchange and development for a better tomorrow. I sincerely wish the continuous growth and development of all the distinguished guests joining us today. Thank you very much for listening.
네, 국회
Thank you. As the Committee of the Industry and Trade, he firmly believes that the potential of the e-vehicle. Thank you very much. Now I would like to invite Chairman Char Namsu of the Jeju Provincial Council. Let's give him a big round of applause.
여러분 반갑습니다.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Char Namsu, Chairman of Jeju Provincial Council. Honorable citizens of Jeju and distinguished guests, please allow me to congratulate on the opening of the 9th International Electric Vehicle Expo. This wonderful expo wouldn't be possible without the effort by President and Chairman Kim Daiwan of the Organizing Committee of the International EV Expo, as well as Acting Governor Koo Man-sub of Jeju, and all the staff members. Chairman Lee Ha-kyung of Industry, Trade, Energy, SMEs, and Startups Committee of the National Assembly, and all the other distinguished guests. I sincerely thank you. 10 years ago, in 2012, Jeju officially declared its policy of a carbon-free island. By 2030, Jeju set up its goal to replace all the electric power based on renewable energy, along with the distribution of eco-friendly e-vehicles. For the last 10 years, Jeju has provided 26,000 electric vehicles. EV has become an engine to accelerate the global carbon neutrality policy. Starting as the EV Expo solely for the vehicle, we are celebrating the 9th event of the International EV Expo. This has become a platform to lead the expansion of the EV industry. Amid the difficulties due to COVID-19, the Expo has exerted itself to drive this revolutionary engine of e-vehicle through contactless meetings. As we gain back our ordinary lives, this year's Expo greatly scaled more than last time. From Imjinggak to Jeju, we had a special vehicle just arrived after covering the entire land of the nation. At this year's Expo, we have a great number of EV companies in Korea and internationally who will participate in various programs from exhibitions, conference, and corporate exchanges. Through this opportunity, we get to figure out the status of the overseas EV industry, as well as the waste battery and the charging infrastructure, which will be furthermore meaningful. I hope this Expo to become a driving force to lead the EV transition, which will eventually contribute to carbon neutrality in Korea. Once again, I'd like to congratulate on the opening of the 9th International Electric Vehicle Expo. I wish all of you a great day with a green wind from Clean Jeju. Thank you.
네, 임진각에서
From Imjingak to Jeju, we had that great vehicle that just finished the journey, and it was such a touching moment. Thank you very much. And right now, we would like to invite Mr. Wee Sung-gon, the member of the National Assembly. Let's give him a big round of applause. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for visiting my district, Seogwipo. And once again, I would like to congratulate on the 9th International EV Expo. I am now the acting chairman of the Agriculture and Fishery Committee. I used to be a part of the committee of the Trade, Industry, Trade, Energy, SMEs, and startups. They both have the longest names in the National Assembly. I just wanted to mention. And I've been through these long-named committees in my term. Once again, thank you very much for visiting Jeju at this meaningful event. And I hope to see you more in Jeju. From today to Friday, we are going to have various programs as a part of the 9th International EV Expo. I welcome you all. I would like to thank Chairman Lee Ha-kyung, Trade, Industry, Energy, SMEs, and Startups Committee, Vice Chairman Chun Young-hyun of Samsung SDI, and all the distinguished guests. I thank you for your presence. And also, my thanks go to Chairman Kim Dae-hwan of the International Electric Vehicle Expo organizing committees, and co-chair Moon Guk-hyun, and staff members. Thank you very much. We have on-site exhibitions, online conferences, and the meeting, and we also have some hands-on activities throughout the Expo. Despite COVID-19, last year we had about 200 companies from 50 countries. And this year, we hope to see more visitors and participants with a great hope and expectation. This year, we are going to cover various parts of the battery components and different vehicles, robotics and ESS system and smart grid and all infrastructure. Anything related e-vehicle will be displayed and introduced at this expo. E-mobility, green energy-related experts will be participating in 50 sessions, which we hope to see the recent trend and find some insights. Also, along with the 27 ambassadors from the EU, we will have a great opportunity to reaffirm our collaboration. And we will also have the Korea-China Forum, and this is a genuinely international forum. At the transition era of the energy, Jeju will become a true model for other local governments and other countries to create more growth in the EV industry. I am proud that this Expo has become an important part. And once again, I wish you a great success. And I already look forward to the 10th event next year. And I ask more help and support from Chairman Lee Ha-kyung to expand this Expo next year. And we urge for your more attention and interest. Thank you very much, and have a great time.
Thank you, Lawmaker Wee, for your kind words and your continued support and interest towards the Expo. Last but not least, former UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon will join us through video. Mr. Ban has left the country on the 28th of last month for an official visit to North America, but he gave valuable comments about the bold trend of climate change and carbon neutrality with warm interest in our Expo. So you can use the simultaneous interpretation. Please welcome him with a big round of applause.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to offer my congratulations on the occasion of the 9th International Exposition on Electric Vehicles. And it is my special privilege to deliver these remarks at such an important juncture for humanity and our planet, as well as the role of EVs in helping to forge a more sustainable, resilient, and prosperous future for all. For nearly a decade now, this truly global event in beautiful Jeju Island has grown into the preeminent gathering for producers, policymakers, suppliers, academics, innovators, and consumers in the EV space. I'm confident that this 9th IEVE will be an overriding success. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, during my time leading the United Nations, I am particularly proud to have prioritized climate change and elevated its importance to the very top of the international agenda. The Paris Climate Change Agreement, signed by 195 countries in 2015, offers us a clear game plan to confront the serious threats to our planet. It sets viable targets to impede rising temperatures, constrict greenhouse gas emissions, and spur climate-resilient development and green growth. With this in mind, I believe that strong multi-stakeholder partnership action underpinned by innovation and cooperation must steer our common responses forward. As a recent UN IPCC reports have made clear, it is critical to hit net to zero targets by 2050. To do so, we must turn existing international commitments into decisive action. In this regard, I believe the next steps for globally accelerating such efforts should be focused on the following three areas. First, we need to rapidly cut emissions and urgently decarbonize our economies and societies to remain on the 1.5 degrees Celsius of a warming trajectory. To achieve this, we must redouble action in the priority areas of phasing out coal, restricting deforestation, investing in renewables, and particularly accelerating the transition to electric vehicles. Second, we must simultaneously adapt our country's industries and cities to the climate realities of both today and tomorrow. Indeed, superstorms, extreme heat, flooding, fires, and droughts are all expanding in both frequency and intensity. As such, adaptation is necessary to build resilience, as climate change is no longer a future problem. It is an urgently pressing issue of crisis of today. And this is vital to ensure the viability of supply chains. Third, we must make good on the pre-existing promises related to climate financing for developing countries. Low-income countries have contributed the least to global heating, but are being disproportionately impacted by the consequences of unchecked emissions. But our future trajectory is not set in stone. Through the choices we make and the actions we take today, we can forge a brighter future for our children and grandchildren, one that is sustainable, secure, inclusive, and prosperous. In this regard, I firmly believe that the transformative promise and gleaming future of the EV industry, as exemplified by this dynamic Expo, is key for global partnership efforts to help achieve carbon neutrality. But policymakers also need to help ensure the requisite conditions are present for elevated innovation, enhanced R&D infrastructure, and expanded production to thrive. I take this opportunity to commend EU plans to effectively ban fossil fuel cars by 2035, with a view towards accelerating the transition to electric vehicles and contributing to a net zero future. In addition, President Biden of the United States signed an exclusive order last August to push eco-friendly vehicles, including EVs, to comprise half of all new car sales by 2030, calling electric vehicles the future of the automotive industry. As a result of these two game-changing actions, 55% of passenger cars sold in 2040 and more than 30% of passenger cars around the world are expected to be electric cars. Under this backdrop, the Korean automobile industry should similarly thoroughly prepare to contribute to carbon neutrality while maintaining its position as a global powerhouse in the electric vehicle market. But 2040 is still a long way off, and the single most important action to achieve carbon neutrality and simultaneously improve public health is the removal of cars with internal combustion engines that are synonymous with air pollution and carbon emissions. In this context, I hope that the private sector and policymakers elevate concrete efforts to push innovation, R&D, and production of EVs to even further heights. As the ESG trends continue to drive policies and influence consumer adoption during this unprecedented time when costs for renewables are tumbling and innovation is soaring, there has never been a more important moment to further accelerate the global transition to EVs. This is incredibly timely, as the transport sector is one of the world's biggest emitters. Indeed, it is responsible for nearly 25% of the world's energy-related CO2 and over 80% of the air pollution in cities in developing countries. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the Expo is poised to go a long way in promoting companies, building supply chains, sharing best practices, and creating a rich global network to nurture and develop the EV industry and its partners, including policymakers. I reiterate my congratulations on the occasion of the 9th IEVE and thank you for your active efforts in forging a more sustainable world. The climate crisis respects no borders. Therefore, our actions for the planet in pursuit of sustainability, security, and prosperity for our future generations must transcend all frontiers. I thank you.
네, 반기문 전 유엔 사무총장님 말씀.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary General. Now we will have an award ceremony by the Global EV Association Network. GEAN selects a company that contributes to the development of the global e-vehicle industry each year. This year, we have the awardee by the global eco-friendly energy and cutting-edge firm called Samsung SDI. Vice Chairman Chun Young-hyun will be awarded as this year's GEAN's awardee. Let me invite Vice Chairman Chun Young-hyun as well as the President of the GEAN on the podium. Ladies and gentlemen, please give them a big round of applause. I would like to read out the award. GEAN Award by Samsung SDI. The Global EV Association Network gives a GEAN Award to Samsung SDI by valuing your contribution to the development of the electric vehicle industry and carbon neutrality. May 3rd, by Chairman Kim Dae-hwan. Let's give them a big round of applause.
네, 저희가 꽃다발도 준비했는데
We prepared a flower bundle. We would like to deliver that to Vice Chairman. Let's have another photo with flower. How about that?
네, 그러면 전영환 부회장님 잠시
Now we would like to hear some few words from Vice Chairman Chun Young-hyun. Maybe Chairman Kim Dae-hwan may be seated.
네, 우리 큰 박수 한 번 더.
Let's give them another big round of applause.
예, 오늘 그 영광의 수상
Thank you very much. My name is Chun Young-hyun, Vice Chairman of Samsung SDI. It is my utmost honor to be awarded, and I would like to thank Chairman Kim Dae-hwan of a Global EV Association Network and all the staff members for their great effort to recognize our work. We are in the era of carbon neutrality, and it is furthermore meaningful to get awarded at this clean island called Jeju. And I would like to congratulate the 9th International EV Expo, where you can see the great and rapid growth of the EV industry. In this rapid growing market, our role in the market is getting bigger and bigger, and I feel bigger burden. Once again, it is a great honor for Samsung SDI to be recognized and get awarded by the Expo. We will exert ourselves to move forward.
것으로서 이 수상
By doing our best, I guess I can pay off the award. Thank you very much once again. On the 3rd floor of this building, we have the eco-friendly energy items at Samsung SDI's exhibition, if you have some time. Now it's time to listen to the keynote speech. With this super gap in technological power and the best quality, Samsung SDI pursues the global #1. Executive President Jang Nae-hyuk will deliver his presentation under the topic EV ultra-fast charging barriers and enablers. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give him a big round of applause to have him on the stage.
Even at the moment when we're not aware, it is always with us. What brings convenience and enriches your experience is battery. Battery holds infinite promises. Our battery improves the quality of life, and makes your time more valuable and prime. To that end, we study battery tirelessly to accelerate charging based on high performance and energy density, to use batteries safely under any circumstances and conditions, and to ensure differentiated experience. We continue to challenge our limits. And now, we are ready for a new start. The quality based on our cutting-edge technology will never be compromised. A new world you have never experienced will be provided by Prime-X, a new name for Samsung SDI's battery. Prime-X.
Good morning, everyone. I would like to express special thank you to the organization. So this is my fifth time to attend this event as a different capacity. I attended the second and third and fourth the IEVE Expo as a university professor. Now I participate this event as a company person. So today I'm going to present the electric vehicle ultra fast charging, which are barriers and which are enablers. I was given originally 30 minutes for presentation, but today I have a special allowance to use more time. And also I'm a little afraid about the contents. So it's maybe too much technical. But I try my best to deliver the basic meaning as easy as possible. So why you don't buy EV? So many people give an answer such that we have a range anxiety. So what's the range anxiety? When I drive some middle of nowhere, I'm running out of gas and I don't see any gas station nearby, I would become frustrated. Okay, what if I run out of gas? Because of the lack of a charging environment, infrastructure, and then many people still believe the range of my EV is not long enough. So what if my car stops on the road? Even if it's not in the middle of nowhere, what if I cannot access charger nearby? Then the inconvenience is as significant as vehicle breakdown. So I captured the image from YouTube video. These two guys actually pushing their Tesla to the charger because they ran out of gas, ran out of the charger in the middle. Nowadays, there are some companies try to provide charging services or towing services, still not convenient. How can we overcome the range anxiety? What if my vehicle, EV, can drive much longer distance? Can we actually get rid of range anxiety? Which is not really true because long live cannot get rid of fear of death. Death time is coming anyway. So people want to charge the vehicle like gasoline refilling. So how fast do we recharge the fuel? So this is the right-hand side, the picture shows NASCAR, the racing, and then they try to fill more than 10 gallons of gasoline in 12 seconds. So probably we don't really want 12-minute charging, 12-second charging. When we go to gas station, then the maximum, the pump rating is about 10 gallons per minute. This is not really limited by the pump capability. This is limited by the pollution regulation by EPA. So if we pump up the gas faster than 10 gallons per minute, then the vaporization will make air pollution. So the gas station, the maximum pump rating is limited by 10 gallons per minute. So the basically gasoline thinking is, can I recharge my vehicle like gasoline refilling at a gas station? in a couple of minutes, can I recharge my vehicle again? So, but there are some debates. So, in 2020, the Forbes magazine, the one article says the future of EV charging may be at 50 kilowatt. So which is 50 kilowatt? I'm going to talk about this later in this slide today. Not the gasoline thinking of 250 kilowatt. So the gasoline thinking is the desire for the EV driver so that they can recharge the battery in a few minutes, like a gasoline refilling at the gas station. So I'm going to use a term, ultra-fast charging, which is gasoline thinking. So before I begin, let me explain what is the battery charging. So first one is the AC charging. AC charging means we have every vehicle EV has onboard charger. That means we have AC coming into the vehicle, and then the onboard charger convert AC to DC because battery need to accept DC. So that's the AC charging. But onboard charger, the capacity is not big enough, and we can never recharge battery so fast. So ultra-fast charging means we have a DC charger outside. So the DC charger is directly connected to the battery high voltage terminal and then charge the battery very fast, much faster than AC charging. So the DC charging we can define. Normally AC charging is slow charging. We recharge the vehicle in several hours or maybe overnight. The DC charging, the fast charging ranges from over 22 kilowatt to 400 kilowatt. That's the spanning at this moment. And ultra-fast charging is if the charging power is greater than 50 kilowatt, we call this ultra-fast charging. So as of today, commonly the charger capacity ranges from 22 kilowatt to 150 kilowatt, and then now between 200 kilowatt to 350 kilowatt is gaining a lot of attraction. So if we try to install the ultra-fast charging, probably there are some among the audience, we have some EV charger expert, and then probably they know better than me. So we need a dedicated high voltage transformer from the power grid. We have transformer and low voltage featuring charger and metering and the chargers. So normally when we install only single charger, then it's not economical. So typically we try to install several DC fast chargers together to share the transformer and switchgear and metering together. So, what is slow charging? L1, L2 charging is slow charging, but the range is from 3 kilowatt to 8 kilowatt, but which is not really small. I'm going to revisit how big is even 22 kilowatt later slide. So ultra-fast charging, how big is 150 kilowatt? How big is 250 kilowatt and 350 kilowatt? So left-hand side figure, you can see the transformer on left-hand side. That's 350 kilowatt transformer. So if you want to charge your vehicle very fast, maybe 10 to 15, maybe 20 minutes, the fully charging, then you need a transformer like that big transformer. Then what about power plant? Normally 1 gigawatt nuclear reactor can power up to 2.4 million four-family standard Korean homes, which is similar to 2,800 EV ultra-fast charging. That means one ultra-fast charging corresponds to 1,000 four-family household electricity used. It's quite big. So now I'm going to talk about the barriers and enablers for the ultra-fast charging. So let me begin with the vehicle side limitation. So there are so many limitations, but I can briefly summarize. The biggest hurdle in the vehicle side limitation is excessive heat and excessive current and consequently excessive heat dissipation. It's all about Ohm's law. So let me start with the example with the charging guns. So when the charging gun tries to deliver big current, every conductor, copper, even gold, every conductor has non-zero resistance, and then it becomes heat generation. So normally people cannot touch a surface temperature over 50 degrees C more than several seconds. Very hot. So the charging gun cable, the temperature should be much lower than 50 degrees C. So we need to cool down. We need to limit the heat generation from the charging gun and cable. So normally, I'm sorry, sir, because it's hard to deliver the physical quantity for non-domain people. So, for example, if I say my body weight is about 50 tons, then everybody thinks that's wrong, because how come people can weigh 50 tons? But what about 50 micron contact resistance? Which is not really easy for normal people, but that's very low resistance. So when we plug in the charging gun, then the car side connector has conductor, and also gun side connector has conductor. They face each other, and they pressurize each other, and then that forms contact resistance. If pressed hard, the contact resistance decreases like this. But if the contact process too much, then it's difficult to pull it out, difficult to insert it. So normally we have to compromise how much pressure we can generate. That has a physical limit. That's the reason we have enormous of a heat generation from the cable and the connector. So let me skip all the numbers here, but you can see even single 1 meter cable can generate huge amount of heat, and that significantly limits the charging speed, charging power capacity of the electric vehicle side. So some new researchers are attempting liquid-cooled charging gun cable. So outside the charging cable, there is a tube, and the inside tube, there is a liquid, and it vaporizes and dissipates the heat. So this is kind of new research, but we need this kind of special cooling system to make the ultra-fast charging feasible. And also there are many connector companies try to develop new contact method so that with marginal pressures, still the connector can form reasonably low contact resistance to minimize heat dissipation. So let me summarize this slide. So when we try to deliver big current inside the vehicle and from the charger to the vehicle, the most important thing is heat generation because of the resistance of the cable, resistance of the connector. Then we have to reduce the heat generation. Okay, how can we overcome this situation? So one biggest enabler is 800 volt migration of the vehicle voltage system. Currently, the voltage level of EV is about 400 volt. Now, the newly designed vehicle, they have started to adopt 800 volt. If we double the voltage level, we can reduce the current by half, and we can reduce the heat dissipation by 4x, 4 times. So that's the reason we used to use 100 volt for AC transmission to each household. Now we have 220 volt with that reason. So 800 volt migration is pretty much promising, and then the McKinsey, the article says, the majority of the passenger car, even volume segment, not a premium segment, volume segment would need to be on 800 volt architecture. So that is a pretty important movement to provide ultra-fast charging to every EV. So another example is charging time can be greatly reduced when your fast charger keeps working at up to 270 kilowatt if the charger provides 800 volt and a minimum of 300 ampere. So another enabler to leverage 800 volt migration is semiconductor evolution. So currently we largely use the switching device such that insulated gate bipolar transistor, IGBT. That's typical switching device. But now if we use silicon carbide MOSFET, then we can increase the switching frequency, and then also we can increase the efficiency of the electronics. So these technology can reduce the heat generation, and so that we can efficiently deliver power to the battery and then achieve the ultra-fast charging. Okay, so I'm from the battery company. Let me talk about the battery size limit. So this is too much technical, I think. So when we started to charge and discharge the battery, then battery is gradually aged. So inside the battery, so we have active materials, and then once we start to charge and discharge it, around the active material, there is a solid electrolyte interface layer. It's kind of protection layer developed. The protection layer is very important to make the chemical reaction stable, but at the same time, it can increase the resistance of the internal resistance of the battery gradually. So because of the SEI layer goes gradually as a repeat charge and discharge operation, so the battery is getting aged. But after certain amount of time, now the cyclable lithium is getting decreased. So that is kind of really aging. So eventually we have reduced amount of capacity and a little higher resistance. That means, the battery has end of life. At end of life, we don't trash the battery. We send the EV battery to energy storage system, or we scrap the battery and we retrieve lithium, cobalt, and nickel, some precious raw materials again. That's the ecosystem of the battery material. So if we try to charge the battery very fast from the beginning, then the blue color, the lithium plating aging starts from the beginning. It's more like a progeria syndrome for human being. So to help understanding what is progeria syndrome, so I try to memorize the Nihal Pitla in India. He was a great guy, and he was a pivotal symbol of Progeria Research Foundation. The Progeria Research Foundation tried to identify progeria syndrome children and help them, and also try to develop new medicine to prolong the development and progress. So, battery side, we have to overcome the overpotential, excessive overpotential in the battery. So how we do that? Starting from material level, we try to enhance the charge transfer from electrode to anode, and also diffusion and anode mechanism. And also electrode level, we try to enhance tortuosity and porosity, and also we have to maintain proper coating thickness. And then finally, in cell level, we try to develop better charging scheduling. So initially, we provide big current, and then as battery heats up, we gradually reduce the current continuously, for example. So let me summarize. From material level to cell level, the battery company tried to develop technology to mitigate the overpotential and also consequently lithium the progeria like lithium plating from the beginning. So also Samsung SDI and so we proudly say we try to develop better the anode technology. So if we use a big size particle, large size particle, then lithium ion cannot go in efficiently to even inside the cathode material or the anode material. If you use small size particle, then we can make more efficient. And also, if you have a thicker coating, then all the way down to substrate, the lithium ions cannot easily penetrate. We call it intercalation, which is too much technical term. But we have to reorient the particle, the left to bottom left figure like that. And also we try to make the cathode material have better structure to have more gateway for better lithium coming in and coming out mechanism. So these are all enabling technology for ultra-fast charging. And also, the lithium-ion battery is kind of live material. So when you visit our booth, you can see our prismatic cell. Looks like solid aluminum can device, which is really like a solid. But when we charge into charge battery, actually battery breathes. It expand and shrink, expand and shrink. So it's more like a live star. So if we give too much pressure or too less pressure, then the battery lifetime can be degraded faster. So every battery company, including us, we try to give a proper pressurized method and process mechanism to make the battery breathe more freely. So these are all battery type technology. Another thing is charge scheduling. So many people imagine, okay, what if I can charge my vehicle almost empty to almost full in 15 minutes? That's beautiful. Do I have to use that ultra-fast charging every day? If you try to use ultra-fast charging so much frequently, freely, without any limitation, then there is no golden rule. We have to make the battery like that. We have to invest more material, more expensive technology, and eventually we may have high total cost of ownership. When we buy a vehicle, we have to pay more money. While we operating the vehicle, we have to pay more money for charging. When we resell the used car, because we want to have a new vehicle, then we have a very low value. High TCO and high capital expenditure and also higher operating expenditure. So now the EV company, also customers, became wise quickly. And then instead of ultra-fast charging, so many companies try to promote ultra-fast recovery charging. That means we recover the charge very quickly, but not to the top. Only maybe 30% or 40%. Okay, going back to the previous story. When I drive some middle of nowhere, I'm running out of gas, I become frustrated. Okay, what if I run out of gas? Then I find a gas station right there. Okay, then what if the gas price is so much expensive? Do I have to fill it up? Normally, we don't fill it up. We just fill maybe 1/3 and 1/4. And then continue to drive and find the cheap gas station, and then maybe when we arrive at destination, we refuel the gas. Something like this. So when I'm running out of my vehicle, I stop by a rest area, and there is a charger, ultra-fast charger, okay? I plug the ultra-fast charger, and I go to the restroom, maybe I buy some water, and I spend maybe 10 minutes for stretching everything, 10 to 15 minutes, and I recharge the battery up to 30%. That is enough to drive to my destination, maybe 150 kilometers, maybe 200 kilometers. That's ultra-fast recovery charging. This is not really not frequent use. I don't use that every day, but just in case, I occasionally use. My vehicle is capable of doing like that. And with that technology, we have a low total cost of ownership. And normally, I don't use ultra-fast charging. I use slow charging. My charging money is not as expensive as ultra-fast charging every day. And my battery is not going to be aged so fast. When I resell my vehicle, I have a high residual, high resale value. So low TCO and low OPEX, no CAPEX. So this is one wise way. And also, we talk about the battery as a service. That means instead of buying a new battery, buying a new vehicle, we lease the vehicle. That's the battery service. So most Korean people purchase vehicle instead of leasing the vehicle. In North America, most people try to lease the vehicle. So let me give an example. I have two choices. I have one vehicle. The price of a new vehicle is $10,000. Another one is a little cheaper. Not $10,000, maybe $100,000. So $80,000, $100,000. I want to lease for 3 years. Which one do I have to pay more for monthly payment? $100,000 or $80,000? I cannot say. So what is the residual, which means what is the resale value? If the $100,000 vehicle is not going to be broken easily, and then the resale value may be $70,000. What if another $80,000? What if the residual is $20,000? Then lease price of $100,000 vehicle is cheaper. That means if you keep the battery residual, use wisely of the battery with proper combination of slow charging and ultra-fast charging, then we can increase the resale value, and then eventually we have a better profit. Another battery is, what about the money for installing the ultra-fast charger? So the prices vary by country and area and type. And typically, this particular example shows one 350 kilowatt ultra-fast charger installation cost is $140,000. Expensive. But the good news is, there is some survey, how much are you going to pay more money for ultra-fast charging? And how much? Then majority of people over here are willing to pay more money, and 36% of people are willing to pay 20% more. And 70% people are willing to pay 50% more money for ultra-fast charging. So because people are ready to pay more money for ultra-fast charging, so we can do business for ultra-fast charging. So let me bring up a more important issue. So top left figure shows electricity usage in Korea over time. So we have peak usage at 7 o'clock in the evening. And the right-hand side, the graph shows slow charger usage pattern. So most people plug their vehicle in the morning, maybe when they arrive at office, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. For ultra-fast charging, most people try to use right after office hours. That means the ultra-fast fast charging demand exactly match with the electricity peak hours. That's Korea's situation. So that means if we use more ultra-fast charging, then our peak hours becomes more serious. Now what about the North America case? Certainly the EV charging, the peak is exactly match with the electricity usage peak. But ultra-fast charging demand usage portion in the United States is just a few percent. They mostly charge the vehicle at home overnight. So one good example, what if we try to shift the peak by the use of ESS? So when the electricity price cheap, we can charge ESS. We charge ESS in the morning to in the afternoon. Then we used the ESS for ultra-fast charging services during the peak hours. So this brief calculation shows that if we ignore the money for installation fee of ESS and ultra-fast charging, land lease cost, and maintenance cost, then we can easily achieve about 5% profit. But probably if we consider everything, then maybe break even. But the good news is the fast charging cost in UK, rapid charging, and even ultra-fast charging even twice more expensive. So if the government and also have social agreement to try have the number one, or people are willing to pay for more money for ultra-fast charging, like UK, and electricity price is not constant, but varying by time. We call it TVP, time variant pricing policy, like North America. Then we can easily shift the peak of ultra-fast charging demand by the use of ESS. So let me conclude this talk. So we have quite a few barrier effects of ultra-fast charging, starting from vehicle level, heat dissipation, battery level, battery aging, and environmental level barrier, power grid limitation, and also cost for ultra-fast charging, and so on. But we have enablers. The vehicle level, we can, well, actually, the vehicle OEM is already migrating to 800 volt, and low resistance cables and connector technologies, and also silicon carbide like semiconductor technology, they can be enablers. And the battery level, so the Samsung SDI is one of the leading company for ultra-fast charging, developing better anode technologies, and also charge scheduling, and also customer alignment. Okay, let's try to use ultra-fast charging wisely. A good mixture of ultra-fast charging, fast charging, and slow charging will be the key for success of EV. Some urgent people, they have to be able to use ultra-fast charging when they want. But when we are not urgent, we better use slow charging, not to give a high stress to the power grid, not to make overcommitment of infrastructure investment, for example. So these kind of all enabling technology and also social agreement can make the EV charging problem free. Okay, so let me conclude this talk here, and then I'm sorry for a little more technical content today, and then hopefully you enjoy this talk, and then please give some comment or questions for the rest. Do I have time? I'm sorry. Too much time? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vice President Chang. Thank you again for your informative presentation. Next, we will invite Director Gabriela Ehrlich of the International Electrotechnical Commission for a special speech. The title is On the Way to a Net Zero Society, the Role of Electrified Transportation. Director Ehrlich came all the way from Switzerland for sharing her presentation with us.
In welcoming Director Gabriela Ehrlich of IEC with one round of applause.
안녕하세요. Thank you for welcoming me. First of all, I would like to congratulate Mr. Yon from Samsung for his award. Congratulations, and also the very interesting talk by Executive Vice President Nathan Chang. Yes, it was technical, but it's very interesting, and I think some of the things I have to say will fit to that. And Samsung is a very important contributor to IEC work. Those of you who don't know the IEC, I'm available afterwards to explain a bit more of what we are doing. So, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I am both happy and honored to have made it to Jeju and to address you today for the opening of the 9th International Electric Vehicle Expo. It was an interesting trip, but I'm happy to be here now after 3 years not being here and seeing you all. So, how does that work? I think I have a little technical problem. Doesn't seem to work.
혹시 뒤에 파워포인트 좀 조작 가능할까요?
Can you help us a little bit with the PowerPoint slides here?
Try the big one, yes? That's what I'm trying. There's nothing moving. Sorry for that.
They said they don't have your PPT file.
I sent it. Okay, little technical problem apparently. My presentation seems to be missing. Okay, good. Imagine. I will try to do it without slides. But before I talk about today, I would like to go back to the beginning of the electric vehicle. So imagine there is a slide with an old lady who is charging her car, but not today, but in 1900. And the pioneers of automobile had the choice between steam drives, electricity, gas, and gasoline. But still, the electric car made the race, at least at that time. In 1881, Gustave Trouvé presented the first electric vehicle, the Trouvé tricycle. It was not really a car yet. It was more like a bike with 3 wheels. Then in 1899, the industrialization of the automobile manufacturing started of electric cars. The Gentot electric automobile factory was founded in France, and in the same year already, the speed barrier of 100 kilometers an hour was broken by la jamais contente, which means the Never Satisfied. That was the name of the car. And by 1901, electric cars drove over 300 kilometers. There we go. So here is the lady. And we stay here. And by 1901, electric cars drove already over 300 kilometers on one charge, something that consumers today, even 5 years ago, 3 years ago, would be dreaming of. In the early 20th century, the electric car was a status symbol of the rich and famous. By 1900, 1/3 of the cars on the streets of New York were electric. People very much liked the electric automobile because it was superior in many ways to its gas competitors, which were smelly, noisy, and vibrated a lot. And electric vehicles were also much easier to operate, which was something many ladies noticed, and electric cars were very much liked by the ladies. Over the next few years, delivery vehicles, trucks, and buses were also gradually electrified. And did you know that Henry Ford, together with his friend Thomas Edison, developed the first prototype of an affordable electric vehicle for the masses? The Edison Ford was equipped with an Edison battery. Unfortunately, this car never made it into mass production. Instead, very much encouraged by Thomas Edison, to the surprise of everyone, Ford went on to build the first affordable combustion automobile. Yes, the discovery of cheap Texas crude oil, together with the mass adoption of the Ford Model T, meant the death blow to the electric car. And by 1935, the electric car had completely disappeared from the landscape and had become part of history. It took basically until the oil crisis in 1970 before people started to get again interested in the electric car. But modern 1970s cars were slow. They didn't drive faster than 60 kilometers an hour and barely made 100 kilometers on one charge. And so they didn't manage to really compete with their smelly, noisy competitors. And that's why we kept the combustion engine. Fast forward to today. As you have heard Ban Ki-moon saying, but also other speakers, transportation is now the world's second largest carbon emitter, producing nearly 80% more emissions than in 1990, and 80% in developing country cities. And with traffic congestion issues, increasingly, the sector is now responsible for around a quarter of total global CO2 emissions. And I'm happy to see that we all have about the same figures, which I heard through the different speeches. So there is a clear imperative for electrification. Electric vehicles, more than ever, hold the key to decarbonize the transport sector. They are several times more efficient at converting energy into propulsion than gasoline or diesel combustion engines, and they are clean at the point of use. They can also be clean at the point of generation. More sustainable transport is an important enabler for several of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Basically, there are 4 technology areas that are particularly relevant for the electrification of transportation. First of all, of course, the vehicles themselves, the electrifications of transportation vehicles, not only the car, but many other types. Then the intelligent transport systems and infrastructure. Those are needed to help improve efficiency, relieve traffic congestion, and reduce traffic accidents. automation of driving vehicles, and last and not least, and very important in the case of electric vehicles, the integration of transport with the energy systems, which are essential not only for the low-carbon transition of transportation, but also of power systems. International standards from the IEC, but also ISO and ITU, play a key role in promoting and deploying technology innovations in all of these 4 key areas of sustainable transportation. Of course, there are other standardization organizations such as SAE, ETSI, IEEE, and others who also contribute important standards. Today, more than ever before, we have to cooperate because nobody can do everything alone. And while many industries are more competitive than ever before, collaboration has never been more important than today. Systems of systems need the integration and the harmonization of many partners to bring forward the answers to the many challenges that we have today. But what is sustainable transportation? I won't get into very much detail, but basically it includes 3 major pillars of sustainable development. The environment, yes, of course, but also the economy and social impact. And as I mentioned before, they impact directly 6 of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Electrification of transportation vehicles, as I said before, doesn't only include cars, but also ships and trains and other vehicles which use electricity to replace fossil fuels as an energy source, as well as a number of key technologies, some of which we have heard about, batteries being among them. And together they improve the energy efficiency of transportation and achieve significant CO2 reductions. Take the example of Norway. Thanks to the deployment of electric vehicles and electric ships, Norway was able to reduce transport-related emissions by more than 29% since 2012. Let me talk about smart charging. It is the key to making transportation and energy generation more carbon neutral. It also opens the path to integrate more solar and wind power. Smart charging basically means that the charging cycle is able to adapt both to the condition of the grid, how much power is available, and the needs of the vehicle user. It allows for the electric vehicle also to become a grid-connected energy storage unit. I explained most cars today are parked 90% of the time. Using their power storage potential can help balance power system operations when electricity demand is high, and this can significantly reduce the need to invest in additional power generation infrastructure. Smart charging also allows to increase the level of control over the charging process. Already simple mechanisms such as time-of-use pricing can encourage consumers to move their charging to a time when there is less electricity demand. Models have shown that when EVs are charged whenever, electricity demand can fluctuate significantly, leading to substantial investment in additional electricity generation. And effectively, I completely concur with Dr. Nathan Chan. If you let everybody charge fast, you will have a serious problem with your power networks. Another method to control charging is, for example, to vary the speed by which cars are charged. rather than completely turning them off. Or still another is to add communication between the grid and the car and vice versa, allowing the grid operator to retrieve or store energy as needed or when available. Basically, the key message there is storage is what you need. This technology can also allow the vehicle to store solar or wind power that is produced by the vehicle owner, maybe at their home or in the building that they're living. The vehicle can also serve as a backup during a power outage, for example. And all of this will require grid integration technologies that are supported increasingly by artificial intelligence and big data to learn the user's habits, to make sure that the electric vehicle has some space to accept additional charging from the operator, but is also ready to drive off when the user needs it. Different systems are possible. A lot of them will be coming from a regulation point of view, or simply as business models that similar as in mobile phones, where you have different services depending on how much you're willing to pay. So as you can see, transportation is deeply linked with the smart grid and by implication with the smart city. Contrary to the combustion car, it is not a separate unit that is self-contained, which you can drive to a gas station and fill and then you're done with. It has to be thought of as part of a big system. Future sustainable transport systems require standards for batteries, fuel cell technology, charging and e-charging technologies, etc. And these are key to allow for innovation and broad commercialization of electric vehicle technologies. And as I said, standardization together with conformity assessment is a key to unlocking this potential. Transportation will also need to be integrated with the grid to become sustainable. Several IEC technical committees have developed the foundation that helps accelerate the global deployment of these systems. It is important to note, and I have been talking with one ambassador yesterday who was not aware that the IEC has standardized all the charging. DC, fast, slow, alternating current, etc. And Korea is working with these standards, has adopted some of these standards or many of these standards, and is also contributing extensively to the work of the IEC. In electrification of global transit, we see that electrification is very high. In many countries around the world, trains are already electrified. But where they're not, there are new battery technologies now available that enable rail transport without the need for overhead power supply lines. And this is cheaper and faster in terms of construction. Such trains can also store surplus energy when the wind blows and when the sun shines, again becoming a storage unit for the power industry. The electrification of maritime transportation, both in ports but also for the propulsion of ships, is steadily increasing. Ferries and short-distance ships are competitive and clean for voyages of less than 200 kilometers. Electric vehicles are also appearing in new areas, such as agriculture, and I think you saw some examples outside, industry, airfields, mining, and many other applications. And many organizations who depend on deliveries are now investing in electric delivery vans, as you've seen, for example, the Korean Post Office. And truck manufacturers are now producing electric trucks that are able to drive over very long distances. And a new generation of powerful, lightweight electric motors are accelerating the production of electrified aircraft for short flights, a little bit like taxis in the sky. McKinsey's vision for advanced air mobility in 2030 sees these aircraft fully integrated with other carbon-free means of transportation, whether they're bicycles or scooters or pods or similar things. And since regulation for self-driving car might still take a while the technology is there are many questions that are still open. In the meantime, such aircraft might be operated remotely from the ground, a little bit like you do today with the little hover aircraft that you can find out there. So, what next? Now that electric vehicles have become more affordable, it appears that the next barrier for purchase can be the charging convenience. And again, it's something that has been brought forward. In many countries, new charging stations are being built, but 4 risks could turn EV charging into a bottleneck. In many places, it is difficult and takes a long time to obtain building certificates and permits for the construction, but also for the connection of charging sites. Electricity grids might need to be updated to allow for smarter charging, and this is both expensive and time-consuming. And the resources to install charging stations, such as specialists who know how to do the work, but also then repair the work, is not as readily available as is the fast charging hardware, which takes time to build. And charging infrastructure is also expensive, as we have seen in the example of Samsung SDI. And here is a final thought for you that might generate some discussion. A recent article in The Economist quoted a McKinsey Global Institute study that stated that if the world economy fails to decarbonize, the real reason will not be cost. According to the study, cars, boilers, power plants, equipment that is installed will need to be replaced over the next decades anyway. Hence, the investment to go green is in fact much smaller than what is generally projected. The number of US dollars 25 trillion is quoted. Yes, it's a big amount, but it doesn't even count the return on investment for example, a transition to more sustainable, more efficient transportation. Economists calculated that 3/4 of the cost of the transition to net zero will be offset by such benefits. This is just one of them. And a state like the UK may need to spend only 0.4% of their yearly GDP over the next 3 decades, and that's not much. And with this thought, I wish you all an excellent 9th International Electric Vehicle Exhibition, Expo, and thank you for your attention. 감사합니다.
네, 국장님께서 너무
Director He touched upon a very important part. If we ever fail, it wouldn't be the issue of the cost, and we need to pursue the sustainable method, and that way we can save over 75% of the cost to realize the carbon neutrality. Thank you again. I'm curious it was helpful for you. We wanted to show how the International EV Expo has evolved and developed by sharing the meaning of hosting the event and drawing the picture for the future. As mentioned, e-mobility's opportunity for the new market is this year's topic. That wraps up the programs for the opening ceremony. Please allow me to appreciate the attendance of our EB family from Korea and overseas, participating offline and online. Now it's time to explore a variety of programs at the Expo. I hope you have a useful and a precious time. Last but not least, I'd like to suggest a commemorative photo to remember a page of the Expo's history with all. All the participants and VIPs, please come up to the podium.
A commemorative photo. So please come forward and onto the stage. 이상으로 개막식을 모두 마치겠습니다. 감사합니다.
That wraps up the opening ceremony. Thank you very much.